Hey guys, wow, it's been a minute since we've made a video. Very busy around here. Fall's here. Fall weather's starting. We're moving things around, reorganizing. So we'll show you a little bit of that and how things have progressed here. So stay tuned as always to the Vincent Family Homestead. There we go, right there, the wildest group of pigeons out there in the southwest mountains of Mississippi. Sound like y'all want somebody to feed. Somebody sound like y'all hungry this morning. All right, y'all ready, boys? Here we go. Get closer to them. There you go. Chicken feed. That's pretty good. Woo-hoo. Yeah. All right, have a good morning. They're greedy. They're greedy if you don't. Nope. There you go. Break them right out. There goes over there, man. Yeah, he's getting ready to hang out with the girls now. Yeah. All right, come on. There's about three ways that I know of, right off the top of my head, that you can control animal behavior. One's food, one's solid state fencing, that's the metal fencing, field fencing, or whatever, and the other is electric fencing. Um, Usually we use a combination of those three things to kind of kid the animals where we want to. Usually the animals pretty quickly train to follow you or the food. So what we did here, for instance, is I want to get Jeff over here on this side because he's sort of in boy mode right now and he's kind of hard to deal with. So we need to go through here to feed the pigs. So what we did was I put food over here, got them on this side, shut the gate off. I'll go through, feed the pigs in the back. Once I come back through, I'll open the gate back up and they can go back and forth. You need, well, in our experience, the solid state fencing for pigs and goats um, works to a certain degree, but we need to use electric fencing to really contain the animals because eventually they learn they can go under or over when they want to. And oddly enough, it's like once they get this identified as home, they really want to stay here. live here, but they will get out and go eat your shrubs and stuff down Franciscan. So you see that they're all kind of doing their thing. We're going to feed them, and I'm going to go back here and feed the pigs real quick. But using the food, get them over, kind of shutting him up now. He's kind of on that side. We can go in and out as we need to, collect eggs, whatever we got to on this other side, and then we'll put him back out. But yeah, using the field fencing, the electric fencing, and the feed together, you can kind of control and move those animals where you wanted to. We had to do the same thing with the pigs when we got ready to move them from back here to up there. During the couple of months we weren't able to do a video, the pigs got to where the smaller ones were able to get out through the gate. They were running around the yard, which is kind of cute now, but we realized once they get as big as a sofa, we don't want 14 sofa-sized pigs running around the yard, so we needed to contain them. So same thing, we use food. We fed them in that area a couple of days. And so that way, by the time we got ready to put them in there and shut the gate, they were already used to that's where food's at, that's where water's at. We just shut them up, use a little bit of electric fencing, and they're fairly content and kind of settle in there. The combination of that there's enough food and water there is an encouragement for them to stay in that area. And then the electric fence, which kind of encourages them not to escape, gives us a negative psychological effect. Which basically those two things together says, let's just stay right here. There's plenty of food and water, and every time we touch that electric fence, it hurts. So we'll just stay right here. So that's kind of how you can control your animals. All right, so we're at that point in the year where we have reclaimed the garden spot for the pigs. I wish you could have seen this. I wish I could get got a video of this, how much it was grown over and how much they have just worked this down for us. If you looked out here on the ground, all of this was covered with cardboard and leaves, and that is totally disintegrated at this point. There's nothing left there. Whatever was left of it is not disintegrated. The pigs are going to trample down, and they'll mash in there. Over the winter, they'll add their manure. Most of these piglets you see here will be sold to a friend of mine who's going to raise them out. Sammy's about to get that electric wire. So we'll have the mama pig up here, and the other two mama pigs, we'll probably keep them up here, but for right now they're here just kind of helping us revitalize this garden area. This is the second cycle we've done of this. Done this last year. We grew pretty well in here. We were actually able to plant in this garden over the summer with no till. We didn't have to break the ground, so this will be our second cycle of just kind of rotating animals and crop, seeing how that works. Hopefully once we get to our new location, wherever that may be, we're looking for land now, we'll be able to replicate this maybe on a different scale, but so far it's working, and this will be the second cycle once again here. So they're coming right along. Look at the size of those piglets. So the piglets are almost as big. The first batch is almost as big as the mama pig. Miss Marianne right there ended up nursing all 12 piglets. They just all nursed her. The sister pig, Mabel, just did not put as much milk out, and everybody just ended up nursing the same sow. So we ended up with 12 piglets. But you can see there, I mean, they're just, those first batch are just about as big as mom, and probably will outgrow her. Dad's a good bit bigger than mom, so so that's what we have there. We just, that old trash receptacle on its side was just a kind of a portable rain shelter for them, just to get in. Right now it's still warm enough, we don't have to worry too much. Today we're going to try to get some hay and make another hay house in here for them. And what we did last year is we built the hay house. It was kind of a structure for them, and then in the summer when I moved the pigs off this spot, I just took the hay and used it as ground cover, so that all went back into the soil here. So the whole idea here is we're growing over the spring and summer, and pulling vegetables and produce out of this piece of property, this plot. But then once we get the vegetable season over with, we're putting animals back over it, kind of letting it grow over purposefully, letting animals go back in it, and they're eating, digesting the wild Bermuda grass and weeds that have grown up. You can see some of that, like right here. I don't know how well you can see that right there. That's just a big old wad of dried Bermuda grass, and you can see them there. They're kind of eating that up, and then they'll manure over it, and then next year we'll let it set. Usually at least by February we get them out of here, because it takes about 45 days for pig manure to decompose and turn into viable fertilizer. So about February gives us a good 45 days or so before the end of March. And by that time, late March, early April, we're able to start putting down ground cover and just planting. Really, basically what we did was, the straw worked out really well too last year. We've used leaves, oak leaves. We'll put that on there, what we have. But the straw worked really well because it made a really dense ground cover, and it was we could plant most of the plants right into the straw, and then they just rooted right down into the soil beneath, which has not been compacted or broken up. It's just other than the animals tromping over it and using it, manuring it up for us. So there we go there, healthy piglets. There's an old swimming pool here. We found out that it's very hard to find any kind of real, I'll turn this water on. I like to try to automate as much stuff as possible. Just see how this thing works. Yeah, look at that. The pig fountain. Hold on. There we go. So we just, this swimming pool was available at the end of the summer, and so right now it's hard. We say it's hard to find something for them. They're small, squat pigs, and even the smallest galvanized tub is hard for them to get over into. So just for right now, I just pulled that in there, and I'm using that to just kind of fill up with water. They can get in there, kind of wallow around, get cool, and then they can, and I just got the hose set up right there through the fence. So all I got to do is turn around here. I'll show you my setup here, and then all we got to do is just come over here and flip this switch, flip this lever on, and it just fills up with water. I can walk away and do something else while I'm letting that kind of fill up there for them. The other side goes to the rabbit water, and when I get ready I'll turn it on. I'll show you how that works a little bit here in a minute. Alright, so part of the process is that we're going to take in the old garden spot, take some of this wheat straw here and make a hay house for the pigs. We'll show you that. We got some Bermuda grass feed hay as well there. We'll put that for the goats, but we're going to get that set up for them. I'll show you how that looks when we're done. Here the goats behind us are begging for food, but we got a few of these here. You can really tell that gas prices are up because the cost of feed hay has went up to about $8.75, I think, a bale, and we were getting it for like $6.25 about this time last year. So, but hopefully as time goes forward and we're able to, hopefully we'll be able to cut some of those costs. So we got some feed here. I'll show you that in just a second. Go ahead and let you see what we did here. I went ahead and kind of assembled it. See, there's Mama right there. It's really amazing to me how quickly they have turned this from a garden spot to starting to look a pig paddock, really. You notice we got an electric fence around the base. One trick about your electric fence, keep the wire about 6 inches away from your field fence because they can ground it out very easily. We've got a strand in front of the gate here to deter them from trying to go under the gate. It goes all the way around, about 6 inches around. It works pretty well. Doesn't take a lot of high voltage to keep pigs in because they kind of have a tendency to walk up, put their nose up to stuff, and so they get a taste of it pretty quickly. And once they know what it is, I don't know if they can hear the vibrational line or smell it, or if they know it's on, and they leave it alone. So, but here you see behind them is the new hay house pig shelter. Um, bring that in there. So yeah, there's the new hay house pig shelter. That's just a couple of 4 bales of wheat straw hay, which is as cheap as, well, wheat straw, not wheat straw hay. There's a difference in wheat hay and wheat straw, but it's wheat straw. And you see a pallet. We've taken some old window shutters that we had taken off the house, made kind of a roof for it. So you just got a pallet with that covering, a couple bales of hay on each side, and they have a place to get in when it's raining, kind of out of the weather, and kind of hide up under that. So that's there. Last year we tried about 4 or 5 different configurations because we just weren't sure how we would do with the pigs farrowing, and it turns out they didn't even farrow too. In the summer, they really didn't even need shelter by the time they did. So all that was just kind of wasted effort on our part. But we didn't know when they were going to farrow. We had one we weren't sure if she was pregnant or not. Turned out she wasn't. And we had 2 that got pregnant, obviously. So you have those there. So anyway, that's there. That'll stay here. This is the second rotation on this. So we started out last year in August. We had issues with my back. So last year I had issues with my back, so I wasn't able to tend to the garden. So what happened is in August, and you watch some of those videos, the garden just got overgrown. I got a goat gifted to me, so I put him in here. And then I got the bright idea, well, what if we ran pigs after the goats? And we did, and it turned out really well. We were able to grow pretty well here. With I mean, we got very good tomatoes, very good squash, zucchini, cucumbers. What's amazing here is the ground here was covered. All the interior of the roads were covered with cardboard box and leaves. And as you can see now, there's absolutely nothing left of that. It's just totally disintegrated, and the pigs working that over. By the time we get back to this in the spring, this will be just completely open soil. And then we were able to, because we were running the pigs in, and we were able to bury their manure and everything so deeply with the straw. And that's another thing this will work. The straw will, once I get ready to redo this in the spring, I'll take that straw that will sit there and kind of mold it over, and we'll just kind of straw it and make ground cover out of it. So it's worked really well. So you have a cycle of from about February, the pigs will leave. We will either have pigs processed or whatever, sold. They'll leave. February to the end of March, giving them a good 45 days for the last part of their manure to kind of cool off and become more acceptable to planting. This will set with straw and oak leaf cover, any organic material we can just cover, and it'll set here. And then early March, or late March, early April, we'll start looking at what we can plant. April to May, and then this year we just planted straight into the straw. We didn't break the ground. We didn't till. This was totally no till, and everything grew perfectly fine. We had, I mean, if anything, it seemed like it grew better here. And so we really like this. We still have patches of Bermuda grass that they're going to work down. They'll eat that. They'll graze that. They'll trample that down. We'll feed them out here. So this works really well. The idea is to create a spot of ground that you can grow out of, grow food, and then rotate animal product in there. You're going to raise you some pork over the winter. Your piglets should be about, and these turned out perfectly right for us. They're about 8 weeks old. They'll be about 8 weeks old. before it gets too cold here for us. So too very cold. So they'll, by the time they're ready to be weaned, they'll be able to tolerate the cold fairly well. And so they'll overwinter here. They're pretty small now, so it's not a hugely intrusive. So the idea here, that if you're questioning about the numbers, the idea would be that um, we would try to sell all of them except for maybe one or two, but probably two, that we could grow out for our own usage. Take the money that we are selling the piglets for and help to cover our feed costs, and then grow those two piglets out in this paddock over the months between October and February, process them early winter, and then start the cycle of putting plant life in here, growing that over the ground that the animals have worked over during the winter. I think this will work pretty well. I mean, the winter time, there's not a lot growing here in the south anyway, so there's the ground is going to rest. You know, any seed or grass that would have normally grown is kind of sitting there dormant. Um, so we could grow some overwinter stuff here, but this ground is going to set pretty much naturally fallow, and then by the time, so we're just putting animal over it in the winter when it would just be sitting here and not growing anything anyway. And then he's fighting over the food a little bit there. But then in the spring, when we would start growing, the animal we would need to process would be, it would be about the right time to process them. So this is, we're zone 7A, 7B. Alabama, so the weather here is a little bit milder in the winter. I don't know how this would work in colder climates, but this is the second cycle, and we're kind of tuning it in. We realize we don't need but one mama pig and one daddy pig for this cycle, for this to work. We have too many females, so and the females we have are just quite frankly too small. We want a little bit bigger pig. So next time, we're probably going to feed the two sows out, and I think they'll be okay for sausage. We'll put them in the freezer. We'll try to find a female pig to be the companion and the breeder for our male, who's doing really well, Pumpkin. And so yeah, this is going to work pretty well, I think. Pretty excited about this. It's just so far everything has clicked into place pretty well. We haven't had very many problems. I think the only issues we have is, like I said, we have a few more pigs to sell than what I really want to have on hand, because I don't want but about, I want the mom, I want the boar and the sow, and one or two of their offspring, and I want to sell the rest of these and cover our feed costs. So this year we're going to do a little bit different. I have a friend who is raising out and processing pork, and so to sell, and so he's kind of what's the term there? He's kind of claimed these pigs for his industry there. So this year we're not going to do that, and the deal, we kind of worked out a deal there. So this all should work out pretty well. But in the future, that's kind of the plan. Hopefully, you know, we're looking for a larger piece of land, maybe several acres, versus we've been working on a half acre here. And so in the new place, we might do this and even rotate, you know, between a couple of places, or make a larger place. And it'd just be interesting to see how we can start managing some of these paddocks. This is about 25 by 100 space. I think there's just too many pigs right here. I mean, this is not going to be very long. So these pigs are going to be they're going to outrun this space pretty quickly. But a couple of pigs growing out over the winter is just not going to, they're not going to overrun this space very quickly. It's going to be about the perfect pace. It's going to be cold, so your smell's not going to be as bad. Parasites, etc., shouldn't be as bad. We may have to do some things for it. But the cool thing is by taking it and leaving it, keeping them off of this over the summer when this is a garden spot, then they don't, then the parasites and stuff that would get in the ground from them don't have a real good chance to kind of establish. And so that works out pretty well. Then we would have to work out a system for rotating mom and dad, and that's the reason I thought if we had a secondary place where we could put the piglets on one side, grow them out, and then another place about this size for mom and dad, we may have to split it where they can't get to each other, but do that over the winter. We could, and then we would probably need a rotational place for those. So we're looking at that part of the system, how we can make that work, but at this point in time, everything seems to be working good. But you see that, there's the wheat straw house. there, just a place to get in out of the weather. And here we are off to the races again. One more thing, one thing that I've learned is keeping animals in with electric fence. Just do a daily inspection on that fence and make sure that you got nothing that can ground that wire out, because it's amazing how quickly they found out that the wire's not on. And that's the reason I said they either can hear the vibration on the line or smell it, because when it's off, it doesn't take very long, and this whole barrier is no longer effective. So hope you guys would enjoy seeing this. And take you another look here. Just amazing, like I said. And I'll show you this. This is cool right here. This is a big old giant piece of grass that kind of grew up there, but you can kind of see, I want to just show you on the edge here, you can kind of see some of the remnants of some of the cardboard, but it's just absolutely amazing to me. Yeah, right in here where it was kind of out of the sun, but it's just amazing to me how that cardboard just disintegrated, made such a perfect ground cover, and then it's just gone. It's just deteriorated. Probably earthworms eat it up. A few pieces of it I can see here. You can see a little bit of a cereal box here that's still in biodisintegrating there. But you can see parts of the leaf matter. It just makes it really good. And what's cool to me is if you look here, I mean, we're looking at, how much that is. Right, look at that right there. That's just right on the surface there. Pretty cool. It's not trampled down. It's not. So we're building this matter here. I like that. That's pretty cool to see that happening. So organic matter building. So poor mama pig is feeding. We're just trying to keep her, fatten her back up. She just got kind of under weight there, so we need to get her back up. And anyway, so I heard the dinner bell ringing, so I think I'm gonna go grab a bite to eat and get back out here and finish the projects up.